Hell doesn't come with flames and demons. No. It looks like constantly lowering your standards just to feel accepted. It looks like staying quiet while they disrespected you because you didn't want to lose them. It looks like pouring from an empty cup, hoping one day they'd pour back. You lost yourself trying to be enough for people who never deserved you. And that was your first death. No one saw the battles you fought behind closed doors, the silent breakdowns, the nights you questioned your worth, the moments you felt invisible, yet kept showing up for everyone else. They thought you were weak. They thought you'd always stay. And maybe a part of you did too. Until one day, something inside you snapped. You stopped begging. You stopped explaining. You stopped showing up for people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Because the version of you that tolerated disrespect, that version had to die. And when it did, something darker, something stronger, was born in its place. They call you cold now. They say you changed. But they'll never understand the war you had to fight within yourself. To finally kill the part of you that was desperate for their love. God watched everything they did to you. Every betrayal, every lie, every silent tear you cried when no one was watching. He let it happen, not to break you, but to strip away everything you weren't meant to be. So you could become everything they never thought you would. I had to lose everything I thought I was, to become everything I was meant to be. The worst battles aren't the ones people see. They're the ones that happen in silence. No blood, no scars, no bruises. Just a mind screaming for peace in a world that never listened. You fought demons no one else could see. The ones that whispered in the dead of night. The ones that dragged you back. To memories you swore you had buried. No one knew the weight you carried. No one saw how heavy it was just to wake up and face another day. But you did it anyway. You broke apart, piece by piece. And no one came to save you. They saw the cracks, but they looked away. They heard the silence, but they never asked why. And for a while, that crushed you. For a while, you kept hoping. Maybe someone would notice. Maybe someone would care. But no one did. And that's when you realized salvation wasn't coming from the outside. The world doesn't hand out lifelines. It doesn't stop to check if you're okay. It just keeps moving, expecting you to survive. And so, you stopped waiting for rescue. You stopped hoping for a savior. You stopped believing someone else would fix the mess inside your soul. Because the only way out was through. So you became your own warrior. You learned to fight without armor. To stand, even when your legs were shaking. And when the storm came, you didn't run. You didn't hide. You became the storm. They'll never understand what it took for you to be here today. They'll never know how many times you had to pick yourself up from the ground. But that's fine. Because you don't need their validation. You don't need their recognition. The only thing that matters? You fought your demons. And you won. I stopped praying for rescue. I became the storm I was waiting for. Pain doesn't shape everyone the same. Some people let it break them. But you let it build you. While they partied, while they laughed, while they slept peacefully at night. You were in the dark, fighting battles no one knew about, facing fears that would have destroyed weaker souls. No one saw the nights you cried in silence. No one felt the emptiness that echoed inside you. No one witnessed the war between who you were and who you were becoming. You didn't beg for understanding. You didn't ask for support, because deep down you knew the fire was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to forge you. So, while they wasted time chasing validation, you were sharpening your mind. You were training your soul. You were building discipline in the shadows. Every tear you shed watered the roots of your strength. Every sleepless night became a brick in the foundation of your greatness. They thought you were losing. They thought you were breaking. But what they didn't know was that you were becoming something unstoppable. You didn't escape the fire. You became the fire. Now, you walk differently. You speak differently. You move differently. Because pain carved wisdom into your soul. Because suffering lit a flame inside you that no one can put out. They can't stand to see you rising now. But they'll never understand what it cost you to become this version of yourself. Let them watch. Let them talk. Let them wonder how you survived what was meant to break you. Because the truth is, you didn't survive the fire. You became it. I didn't escape the fire. I became it. You don't need to announce your transformation. You don't need to scream your success. Because now, they feel it. When you walk into the room, they sense the shift, the strength in your silence, the power in your eyes, the unshakable energy that comes from surviving hell and building yourself from the ashes. They can't pinpoint what changed, but they know something did. You move differently. You carry yourself with a calmness that makes them uncomfortable. Because deep down, they remember the version of you they broke, the one who used to beg for love, for acceptance, for validation. But that version of you no longer exists. You buried that weak, desperate soul in the very fire they threw you in. And from those flames, a different beast emerged. Now, your energy is untouchable. Your silence is louder than their lies. Your discipline is sharper than their words. They can't stand to see you thriving because they never thought you'd survive. You don't chase revenge. You don't seek validation. You just move in silence, building, growing, and evolving. And that, it burns them. They watch you from a distance, trying to figure out how you became this unstoppable force. But the truth is, you didn't change for them. You changed for yourself. You found your worth in the pain. You found your power in the struggle. Now they can't access you. They can't manipulate you. They can't control you. Because your energy is different. And when they feel that, it terrifies them. You're not here to prove a point. You're here to build an empire in silence. Let them watch. Let them feel it. Because the same ones who tried to break you now fear the version of you that survived. I'm not who I used to be, and that's exactly why they can't stand me. There was a version of you that tolerated disrespect, that chased people who didn't value you, that kept quiet to keep the peace. That version of you, dead and gone. You didn't just heal, you burned that version of yourself to the ground. And from the ashes, you built something unbreakable. The one who once cried in silence, who over-explained, who tried to fix people who were never meant to be saved. That soul had to die. Because to survive the storm they threw you in, you had to become the storm. Now you move differently. You speak less. You observe more. You value your energy. They don't recognize you anymore. And truth is, neither does your old self. The old you would have folded, would have begged for closure, would have waited for an apology that never came. But this version of you, you don't need apologies. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You let your growth be the punishment, your silence be the lesson, and your success be the karma. It's funny, isn't it? They thought breaking you was the end of your story, but they didn't know. You were being rebuilt in the darkness. The fire that once burned you alive is now burning within you. You're sharper. You're colder. You're unstoppable. They don't get access to this version of you because this version was forged in solitude, in silence, in suffering. You didn't lose yourself. You shed your old skin, and now you walk with a different energy, and that's why they fear you. The old me was built from pain. The new me was built from fire. They thought they broke you, thought they stripped you of your worth, your confidence, your soul. But what they didn't realize, God was watching. When they betrayed you, God gave you clarity. When they abandoned you, God gave you solitude. When they tried to destroy you, God gave you resilience. You didn't lose. You transformed. Everything they stole, your peace, your love, your trust, God gave it back 10 times over. But this time, it came in the form of wisdom, strength, and unshakable silence. You see, karma doesn't come with thunder and lightning. It comes when they see you thriving, in silence, in discipline, in power. Now they watch from a distance, confused, bitter, angry, because the version of you they tried to destroy no longer exists. You stopped seeking justice, stopped begging for closure, stopped explaining yourself. You let your energy speak. You let your discipline speak. You let God handle the rest. And now, your success is haunting them. Your glow is burning them. Your silence is breaking them. Because the truth is, they didn't take anything from you. They freed you from the version of yourself that tolerated less. They forced you to evolve into someone they can't reach. And that was their biggest mistake. While they stay stuck in their toxic cycles, you've leveled up mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And the scariest part, you did it without revenge, without closure, without them. God knew what he was doing when he let them hurt you. He was preparing you for something far greater. I stopped asking for justice. I let karma and discipline handle it. You see, the version of you that begged for love, that tolerated disrespect, that stayed quiet to keep the peace, that version is dead. They broke you when you were at your weakest, and they thought you'd stay there, drowning in self-doubt, craving their validation, waiting for an apology that would never come. But what they didn't realize, pain doesn't destroy people like you. It transforms them. In that darkness, while they laughed, while they moved on, while they thought you'd never recover, you were evolving in silence, in discipline, in rage. They should have killed you when they had the chance, when you still cared, when you still doubted your worth, when you still craved their love. But now, you walk with a different energy. You move in silence. You radiate something they can't understand. Power. You're not seeking revenge. You're not chasing validation. You're not explaining yourself. Because now, your existence is their punishment. They see it. They feel it. Every time your name is mentioned, every time they scroll past your success, every time they hear your silence echo louder, than their words. They're reminded of what they lost, of who they underestimated, of the monster they created. You didn't just survive. You became untouchable, unrecognizable, unstoppable. And the most brutal part? They'll never get access to this version of you. I walked through hell alone, and I came back as something they'll never recover from. They thought you'd stay broken. Thought you'd never recover. Thought you'd spend your whole life proving your worth to people who never deserved you. But what they didn't know, hell didn't destroy you. It built you. You don't seek revenge. You don't chase apologies. You don't even tell your side of the story. Why? Because your growth is loud enough while they watch, while they stalk in silence, while they try to copy your energy, but fail every single time. You keep building. You keep winning. You keep elevating to levels they'll never reach. And now, they can't stop watching. They can't stop envying. They can't stop wishing they never lost you. Because the truth is, you didn't come back to prove them wrong. You came back to prove yourself right. They wanted to break you, but all they did was awaken something darker, something colder, something unstoppable. You became the silence that haunts them, the success that burns them, the reminder of everything they'll never be. No more begging, no more explaining, no more waiting for them to see your worth. Because now, you burn everything you touch, and they'll spend the rest of their lives regretting how they handled you. I came back with fire in my soul, and now I burn everything I touch.